What's up, everybody? Welcome to the rLounge. Am I the a-hole for threatening my new neighbors with my dog? For some context, I, female 28, just moved from my city to my first house in a suburban neighborhood about 6 months ago. Just me and my dog, Oaken, a Dutch Shepherd. My dog is trained as a personal protection dog, PPD. I'm a runner, and Oaken runs with me. We were running in our neighborhood's park and pond area. I had my AirPods in. It was just getting dark. I'd noticed in passing a guy on his bike on the same trails, and as we were coming around the pond, he was stopped on our path. He waved us down and said he had dropped his keys, asked if I had seen them on the path, asked if I had a light on me because he thinks he dropped them in the grass. He wanted to know if I lived in the neighborhood, which house was mine, if I was nearby because he didn't see any cars in the parking area that he didn't recognize. Basically anything to keep us there and keep talking. Not scary, but annoying with a definite hint of creepy. After he forgot his initial story and said, "I'm gonna be so pissed at myself if I lost another earbud. That's my third pair and they're nearly $300 a pop." I moved to leave and he stood in the path and started asking about Oaken. Oaken wasn't doing anything aggressive at this point. No hair raised, no growling or barking. He was doing exactly what he was trained to do, and every time the guy would move to get closer to us, he would just stand between me and him. The guy asked if he was friendly, asked to pet him, and I said I'd rather he not. He kept saying dogs loved him, blah blah. I again said no, and we started to walk around the guy to go. That's when he decided it would be a good idea to try to grab Oaken's leash. I have no idea why, your guess is as good as mine. Oaken backed us up, low growl, showed his teeth, didn't snap, didn't bite. We left. The encounter was strange enough, I posted in the neighborhood app. Nothing accusing the guy of attacking us or anything over the top like that, just that my dog and I had gotten stopped by a stranger out running and a reminder not to grab at a person's dog or dog leash without permission. Apparently, Park Guy's wife read the post and recognized her husband immediately, because since then, she's been telling every neighbor who will listen about my aggressive attack dog. I've now gotten a letter from the HOA, and apparently the next homeowners meeting has breed-specific bans on the agenda. While I believe Oaken's response was appropriate and controlled, I'm feeling sad and disappointed that my new community has the wrong impression. I'm not out to terrify people. Am I the a-hole for posting what I posted to the neighborhood app and apparently starting a feud with my new neighbor? Was I wrong for calling out Park Guy publicly? Edit 1. Yes, I have a home security system and cameras. The previous homeowners had a couple of collectible cars in the detached garage apartment and put in an extensive system. Park Guy's questions about where I lived, etc. didn't immediately set off crazy red flags because I've been asked very similar questions by multiple women multiple times in the neighborhood too. I'm getting the impression I'm the youngest person in the area by a good 20 or more years because people have asked me who my parents are, who I'm visiting, etc. It seems like the only young people hanging around are ones who drive in from other places to get to the park, and this neighborhood seems weirdly territorial about their park. I will definitely talk to an officer about a report. Edit 2. Thank you very much, Reddit, for the kind support and the overall objective and outside look into the situation. I did contact the local police department and they sent 2 officers out yesterday. I walked them through the situation, at what point I felt uncomfortable, and exactly how the neighbor then unknown to me stood to block me and reach for my dog's leash. I gave them my written account and a couple of pictures of exactly where everything happened. I showed them the post in Nextdoor. The officers were both very encouraging that I had done the right thing by contacting them, although one of them did admit she groaned a little when she got the dispatch to our neighborhood. Apparently this neighborhood has a habit of calling in and reporting suspicious behavior. That boils down to people who don't live here using park equipment, fishing in the ponds, or just looking suspicious walking down the street. While there's not technically a gate at the front entrance, and there are walking paths around some of the walled-off areas and into the park, the residents feel pretty exclusive about our private, gated community, and it's the perfect environment for the ladies whose names start with K to thrive. The officers went to speak to the neighbor and also his wife, and he admitted to chatting me up because he didn't recognize me and wanted to know what I was doing there, but he denied he was actually trying to detain me. He said he saw that my dog had embroidery on his leash and was looking to see if it was an address. The officers gave him a pretty extensive talking to on how inappropriate his behavior was, and how lucky he was he didn't actually put his hand on me or get the leash, and how lucky he was he hadn't tried to intimidate me further with a weapon or threat, etc. They advised him it would be a good idea if he steered clear of me in the future, and if he has an actual concern about someone in the neighborhood or in the park, to leave it up to the law enforcement officers. His wife apparently tried to convince the cops that I should be thankful people in this neighborhood look out for one another, and the officers said they very professionally laughed in her face. Everything is on record now, and I plan on penning a preemptive letter including the police report as an attachment and sending it to the HOA letting them know that if breed-specific motions are on the agenda next meeting, I would like to present said information in person, with my attorney present. So that's where we're at, Reddit. Hope this is the end of it and life goes back to normal and uneventful, and the worst thing I have to deal with moving forward is the raccoon that keeps jamming crap into my pool filter. ETA, I'm entirely tickled this update has developed into a discussion about raccoons. Carry on, Reddit. Our first reaction from Adorable Ad 201. That man and his wife are both full of crap. I'm so glad the police responded well to your report. Good luck with the raccoons. DOP replied, raccoons are a-holes. Hilarious, but serious a-holes. Reckless Raleigh chimed in, I absolutely love seeing people encouraged to stand up for themselves and against inappropriate behavior in a firm way on here. Good for you for protecting yourself and your boundaries. DOP replied, it's always nice to have an outside perspective, absolutely. When you're the person in the situation, it's easy to be so stunned by the other person's behavior that you have to sit back and really think about what happened for a while because it's just so out of the ordinary. On to the next story. Am I the a-hole for not charging my nephew rent after he moved in with me and my family? So I, 44 male, have an older sister, Miriam, 47 female, and she has a son, Javid, 18 male, with her husband, Joe, 51 male. My wife and I have two daughters, one 15 and the other 12, and no sons. My daughters love Javid like their big brother, and in our culture, he isn't their cousin, but is their brother. My wife loves Javid like her own son. When I'd broach having a baby to give our kids a brother, she'd point out they have him as a brother. She got me thinking that way too, as I love my sister, and Javid is a good boy, but I do know he isn't my son, even if I love him like one. The point of contention is this. In September, Javid started university and his parents evicted him and made him take out loans because he's 18 now. This was odd to me, since my parents never did any of that. But their house, their rules. As my sister explained to me, this is what Joe's father did with him, and he thinks it will work because it has for him. Javid moved out to a place where he could pay low rent while also working as much as he could. He bombed all his midterms, so he came crying to my wife and I. I didn't want to take him in because that might ruin the relationship with my sister, which has been rocky, but my wife pointed out how much he was struggling and I agreed. We are not going to make him pay rent, as if I wouldn't ask that of my kids. I'm not going to ask that of him. We make him do chores like cleaning, watching our girls, getting groceries, on our cash, and work a much lighter schedule part-time job to focus on those loans and a tutor. In the weeks he has been there, he seems readier for his finals, but damage to his grades may already be done. My sister came over yesterday with Joe. They knew Javid was here. I didn't hide that from them, but they assumed that he was paying rent. After asking how much I charge, I admitted I don't, and Joe got all angry and told me I was undermining his authority. I pointed out my parents never charged me rent, and I wouldn't charge my kids rent, and I'm not going to treat Javid differently if he lives in my house. They left like after that, and I got a text from Miriam saying that she and Joe weren't going to come over until I enforced their rules for Javid. I feel like an a-hole because I do love my sister and I don't want to cause her difficulties, but I don't want Javid to go down the wrong path since what was happening before was not working for him. Update. So it's been a little bit and everything has gone crazy, but first I want to thank all of you for convincing me I did the right thing. I stuck to my guns and my wife and I told Javid we see him as our son and this was his grandfather's and mother's house. It will always be his too. He passed his classes, but the damage was done and he has a crap GPA. As for his loans, thankfully, TD was fair to him, so it was a no-brainer to help him pay it all off. This semester is going much better and I have no doubt his grades will improve. Here's where it all gets a bit wackier. Because a few days after I did that, I got a call from Miriam, met her at Tim Hortons, and turns out she and Joe had a big fight after they left my home and now she's divorced. Turns out that it's been bad for them since the pandemic started and got worse ever since they evicted Javid, and this united front was a sham. To her, it's been like they've been divorced for 2 years already. She told me she reconnected with Amir, who lived next to us for a few years when he was a teenager, and they became great friends, but Joe was mistrustful because he's a decade younger than her and a good-looking guy. The big thing was Joe refusing to get vaccinated, even though he says he's liberal. She's a researcher, and Javid has freaking asthma. I'm guessing divorce sent Joe off the deep end because he's going to Ontario to join the convoy. Well, I went with Miriam to his house, got everything, and moved her back into our home. Honestly, Miriam has been the happiest I've seen her in a very long time. Amir asked her out after New Year's, and they started dating, so I guess all Joe feared has come to pass. It's weird because I still remember him as a teen, but I do have to admit he's a successful guy who makes her happy, and like she said, her marriage was done for a while. He seems to really love her. My daughters love having Miriam around. My eldest keeps asking her for tutoring in bio, and youngest clings to her and is learning knitting from her. It was a bit awkward for Javid at first, but Miriam said sorry to him so much when she came back. She wouldn't stop hugging him and kissing him while crying, so of course he forgave her. What son wouldn't? I will admit, she's been spoiling and babying him since then, or trying to, and says sorry to him every day, even though he says she doesn't need to, and keeps promising to make things up to him. The big news is that my wife is pregnant, even though we use protection. I don't know if I have a son or a princess coming, but I know my child will have a full family waiting, a father, a mother, aunt, 2 amazing sisters, and the best big brother possible. We decided we'll all take a set of family photos during Javid's reading break, and then another set next year once the baby's a bit older. First judgment from Throwaway for MILBS. I flinched at son over a princess, but good for you, OP. Glad you turned it around. Next chime in from Megan Shadow. Man, princesses must cause a lot of damage to their moms being birthed. Far worse than a daughter or son or baby. The instant I saw a tiara on ultrasound, I'd schedule my C-section date. Why do dads who call their daughter's princess never call their son's prince? And somehow never acknowledge that their princess likes to run, yell, get muddy, and destroy things. Next opinion, from Typical Management 680. This was a good update. I remember being so upset for Javid reading your initial post. I'm not sure of the policies at Javid's institution, but maybe have him ask about their repeat course policy. At my institution, if you are eligible to repeat a course and you do, the most recent grade will be the one used in the GPA calculation. If the repeat course grade is much better, that can significantly increase the GPA, even if it's 1 or 2 courses. However, both grades, the original and repeat, are shown on the transcript. His institution might have something similar. The OP's reply closes us out. I have in fact talked to him about doing repeat classes in the summer instead of taking time off as he had intended.